Our story begins on the junk-strewn wastes of Raxus Prime, where rusted hulks of starships and droid parts littered the landscape under a smog-choked sky. Amid the scrap heaps, a cloaked figure moved with purpose, his boots crunching over shattered circuits. Obi-Wan Kenobi, once a Jedi Master, now bore the scars of a galaxy betrayed. His robes, tattered but functional, concealed a lightsaber that had not ignited in months. The Clone Wars had ended, not with victory, but with the rise of the Galactic Empire, orchestrated by the Sith Lord Darth Sidious. Obi-Wan had failed to stop Anakin Skywalker's fall on Mustafar, and the Jedi Order lay in ruins, its survivors scattered or hunted. Yet here, among the discarded machines of war, Obi-Wan sought redemption, not as a Jedi, but as a rebel forging an unlikely army. The betrayal of the clones, turned against the Jedi by Order 66, had shattered Obi-Wan's faith in organic loyalty. On Raxus Prime, he found an alternative: droids, abandoned by the Separatists, left to rust or be scavenged. These machines, free of the Sith's organic manipulations, could be reprogrammed, united under a single cause. Obi-Wan's plan was audacious: to lead a droid rebellion against the Empire, striking at Sidious and his apprentice Darth Vader, to restore balance. Yet his heart wrestled with doubt. Was he defying the Sith, or merely replacing one war with another? The Force, once a guiding light, now felt distant, clouded by guilt over Anakin's fate and the Jedi's blindness. Satine Kryze's memory, her pacifist ideals, haunted him. Would she condemn this rebellion, or see it as his last stand for justice? Among the scrap, Obi-Wan worked tirelessly, rewiring battle droids with tools scavenged from a wrecked Munificent-class frigate. His hands, calloused from years of wielding a lightsaber, now danced over circuit boards, guided by the Force's subtle nudges. Nearby, a golden protocol droid shuffled nervously, its servos whirring as it catalogued the chaos. C-3PO, once a servant of Padme Amidala, had been discarded after her death, found by Obi-Wan among Raxus Prime's refuse. The droid's memory banks held fragments of Senate dealings, whispers of Palpatine's schemes, and a lingering loyalty to those who fought for peace. C-3PO's presence was both a boon and a burden. Its knowledge could expose the Sith's political machinations, but its incessant complaints tested Obi-Wan's patience. The droid's own motives were unclear, driven by a desire to serve yet haunted by the loss of its former masters. Could it be trusted, or would its programming betray them? The rebellion's first steps were fragile. Obi-Wan had rallied a small legion of B-1 battle droids, their vocabulators reprogrammed to pledge loyalty to his cause. But Raxus Prime was no safe haven. Imperial probe droids scoured the outer rim, and whispers of Darth Vader's inquisitors reached even this forgotten world. Obi-Wan's mind churned with the risks. The Empire's grip tightened daily, with Coruscant's Senate reduced to a puppet stage for Sidious's decrees. Senators Bail Organa and Mon Mothma, voices of resistance, operated in secret, their efforts stifled by Palpatine's propaganda. Obi-Wan's rebellion could aid their cause, exposing the Sith's lies, but failure would doom them all. The Force stirred, warning of a presence closing in. A hunter, perhaps, or something darker. C-3PO's sensors detected an approaching signal, a faint Imperial transponder. Obi-Wan's hand instinctively grazed his lightsaber, though he resisted igniting it. The rebellion was not yet ready, its droids too few, its strategy untested. Yet, the galaxy's political currents demanded action. Sidious's empire thrived on fear, crushing worlds like Alderaan and Ryloth to silence dissent. Obi-Wan's rebellion was a spark, fragile but defiant, aimed at the Sith's heart. As he prepared to investigate the signal, C-3PO shuffled behind, its golden frame glinting in the dim light. The droid's loyalty was unproven, its knowledge a double-edged vibroblade. Obi-Wan stepped into the shadows of a wrecked destroyer, the weight of his choices heavy, This was no Jedi's path, but a renegade's gamble to topple an empire with the very machines it had discarded. The signal on Raxus Prime grew stronger, a pulsing beacon that cut through the static of the junk world's atmosphere. Obi-Wan Kenobi crouched within the skeletal remains of a separatist destroyer, his senses heightened by the Force. The Imperial transponder suggested a probe droid, but the ripple in the Force hinted at something more sinister, an Inquisitor perhaps, or a trap set by Darth Vader himself. C-3PO shuffled behind, its golden plating catching the dim light, its servos whining as it protested the danger. Obi-Wan's mind churned with conflict. Leading a droid rebellion was a desperate gambit, born of necessity but steeped in moral ambiguity. Could he wield the tools of war without becoming the very darkness he sought to destroy? Satine Kryz's pacifist ideals lingered in his heart, a quiet rebuke to the battle droids now marching under his command. The first test came swiftly. From the scrap heaps emerged a squad of Imperial scout troopers, their E-11 blasters trained on the wreckage. Obi-Wan signaled his B-1 droids, their skeletal frames clattering as they took position. The skirmish erupted in a flurry of red and blue blaster bolts, the troopers' precision outmatched by the droids' sheer numbers. Obi-Wan moved like a specter, his lightsaber still dormant, relying instead on a salvaged DC-15 blaster and the Force to deflect incoming fire. A trooper fell to a precise shot, another to a droid's vibroblade, but the Force screamed a warning, and Obi-Wan spun just as a red lightsaber ignited in the shadows. The fifth brother, an Inquisitor clad in black, charged with feral intensity. Obi-Wan's lightsaber finally blazed to life, its blue blade meeting the Inquisitors in a shower of sparks. The duel was brutal, the fifth brother's raw power clashing with Obi-Wan's disciplined finesse. They fought across the destroyer's hull, metal buckling under their steps. Obi-Wan disarmed the Inquisitor with a force push, sending him crashing into a pile of circuits, but the fifth brother fled, vanishing into the wastes. The victory was fleeting. The Empire now knew Obi-Wan was here. C-3PO's memory banks proved vital in the aftermath. The droid, despite its complaints, accessed the scout troopers' comms, revealing Imperial plans to fortify Ryloth against rebel uprisings. Obi-Wan saw an opportunity. Ryloth, home of the Twi'leks, was a symbol of resistance, its people crushed under Imperial occupation. If his droid army could disrupt the Empire's grip, it might rally Bail Organa's secret network. But C-3PO's hesitation was palpable. The droid's programming, tied to Padme Amidala's legacy, yearned for diplomacy, not war. Its fragmented memories of Senate debates, of Palpatine's rise, suggested a deeper truth about the Sith's political machinations. Obi-Wan wondered if C-3PO's knowledge could expose Sidious's lies, but its loyalty remained uncertain, torn between serving Obi-Wan and preserving its own safety. The rebellion moved to Ryloth, its canyons and mesas glowing under a crimson sky. Obi-Wan's droid army, now bolstered by reprogrammed B-2 super battle droids, descended on an Imperial refinery extracting rill spice for the Emperor's coffers. The assault was swift, droids pouring through the facility's gates, their blasters tearing through stormtrooper lines. Obi-Wan led from the front, his lightsaber carving arcs of blue through durasteel barricades. The Twi'lek resistance, led by Cham Syndulla, joined the fray, their blasters and guerrilla tactics complementing the droids' relentless advance. But the Empire struck back with AT-ST walkers, their cannons reducing droids to slag. Obi-Wan's heart ached as he surveyed the carnage. Was this rebellion any different from the Clone Wars, trading one form of destruction for another? The Force offered no answers, only the weight of lives lost under his command. C-3PO, stationed in a commandeered speeder, decrypted Imperial transmissions, uncovering a chilling detail. The refinery was a decoy, meant to lure rebels into a trap. Obi-Wan ordered a retreat, but not before planting charges to cripple the facility. denying the Empire its spice. The next target was Geonosis, the desert world where the Clone Wars began. Obi-Wan's droid army infiltrated a dormant droid factory, its caverns silent since the Separatists' defeat. The Empire had repurposed the facility to produce Dark Trooper prototypes, mechanical soldiers designed to replace clones. Obi-Wan's plan was to seize the factory, reprogramming its assembly lines to swell his rebellion's ranks. The infiltration was meticulous, droids navigating the labyrinthine tunnels while Obi-Wan sabotaged security systems. But the Force warned of betrayal. C-3PO's erratic behavior, hesitant relays of data, unexplained delays, raised suspicions. The droid's memory banks held secrets of Padmé's final days, perhaps even clues to Palpatine's manipulation of Anakin. Was C-3PO withholding information, or was its programming compromised? The factory's defenses activated, droidecas rolling into position, their shields flickering. Obi-Wan fought alongside his B-1s, his lightsaber deflecting blaster fire as he dismantled a droideca with a precise strike. The battle raged through the assembly halls, droids clashing with droids in a surreal echo of Geonosis's past. Obi-Wan secured the factory, but C-3PO's data revealed a transmission sent to an unknown Imperial frequency. Had the droid betrayed him, or was it a glitch from its patchwork repairs? The rebellion's final move took them to Nar Shaddaa, the smuggler's moon, where neon-lit spires masked a web of corruption. Obi-Wan sought to disrupt an Imperial weapons depot supplying Vader's Inquisitors. The mission was a calculated risk, exposing his army to the galaxy's underworld. Nar Shaddaa's streets teemed with bounty hunters and Hutt enforcers, their eyes drawn to the unusual sight of battle droids marching under a former Jedi's command. Obi-Wan's forces struck the depot, B-2 droids blasting through blast doors while he infiltrated the control tower. The fight was chaotic, stormtroopers and hired mercenaries returning fire from elevated platforms. Obi-Wan's lightsaber danced, deflecting bolts and severing blaster barrels, but his thoughts lingered on Anakin. Vader's shadow loomed large, a reminder of Obi-Wan's failure on Mustafar. Could this rebellion redeem that loss, or was he merely delaying the inevitable? C-3PO, tasked with slicing the depot's security, uncovered a hollow recording of Palpatine addressing the banking clan, promising wealth for loyalty to the Empire. The droid's analysis suggested the Sith's control extended deeper into the galaxy's economy than Obi-Wan had feared, fueling his resolve but deepening his despair. The Nar Shaddaa mission succeeded, the depot reduced to rubble, but Obi-Wan's doubts grew. The rebellion was gaining momentum, yet each victory felt hollow. The Force whispered of a reckoning, of Vader's gaze turning toward them. C-3PO's role remained ambiguous, its knowledge a potential key to unraveling Sidious's plans, but its actions hinted at divided loyalties. Obi-Wan's heart wrestled with the cost of his path. Satine's vision of peace seemed further away with every droid he commanded, every life he took. As the rebellion prepared for its next move, the galaxy's political currents churned. Bail Organa's resistance needed a spark, and Obi-Wan's droid army could provide it. But at what cost? The Force pulsed with danger, urging him forward, toward a confrontation that would test not just his rebellion, but the man he had become. The droid rebellion's spark had ignited a fire across the Outer Rim, its victories on Ryloth, Geonosis, and Nar Shaddaa sending ripples through the Galactic Empire's iron grip. Obi-Wan Kenobi stood aboard a salvaged Providence-class destroyer, its bridge humming with the clatter of B-1 battle droids manning consoles. His eyes, shadowed by exhaustion, scanned holomaps of Imperial strongholds. The Force pulsed with urgency, a warning that the Sith were closing in. Darth Vader, the specter of Anakin Skywalker, loomed in Obi-Wan's mind, a wound that refused to heal. The rebellion's next move was its boldest yet, a strike on Kamino, the rain-soaked world where the Empire was developing new clone legions loyal to Sidious. Disrupting Kamino's facilities could cripple the Empire's military, but it would draw Vader's wrath. Obi-Wan's heart wrestled with the cost. Was he fighting for the galaxy's freedom, or merely avenging his failures? Satine Kryze's memory, her plea for peace, clashed with the war he now waged. C-3PO, stationed at a comms terminal, relayed troubling data. The droid's analysis of Nar Shaddah's holo recording confirmed Palpatine's collusion with the banking clan, funneling credits to suppress dissent on Coruscant. Yet, C-3PO's behavior grew erratic, its servos stuttering as it withheld fragments of Padme Amidala's final Senate transmissions. Obi-Wan suspected the droid's loyalty wavered, torn between its programming and the rebellion's cause. The Force hinted at a deeper truth. Perhaps C-3PO held secrets that could expose Sidious's political web, but its silence suggested fear or manipulation. Obi-Wan had no time to probe further. Kamino awaited, and with it, a confrontation that could define the rebellion's fate. The assault on Kamino began under torrential rains, the ocean world's stilted cities gleaming like beacons in the storm. Obi-Wan's droid army, now thousands strong with B-1s, B-2s, and reprogrammed droidekas, descended in stolen LAATI gunships. Tepoka City's cloning facilities, guarded by stormtroopers and ARC-170 starfighters, erupted into chaos as droids stormed the platforms. "What did you think?" Obi-Wan led the charge, his lightsaber blazing blue, cutting through blast doors and deflecting blaster fire. The Force guided his movements, a dance of precision amid the deluge. B-2 droids blasted through stormtrooper lines, their wrist rockets shattering walkways, while droidekas rolled into position, shields flaring. The Twi'lek resistance, coordinated by Cham Syndulla, provided cover, their snipers targeting Imperial turrets. Obi-Wan's heart pounded, the weight of command heavy. Each droid lost was a calculated sacrifice, but the clones, programmed to serve the Sith, stirred memories of the Jedi's betrayal. Could he destroy them without losing himself? The battle intensified as Vader arrived, his black armor a stark silhouette against Kamino's sterile halls. The Force trembled with his presence, a storm of rage and pain. Obi-Wan faced his former Padawan in the central cloning chamber, surrounded by glowing tanks of unborn clones. Their duel was a clash of past and present, blue lightsaber meeting red in a flurry of strikes. Vader's strength was overwhelming, his blade fueled by the dark side, but Obi-Wan's finesse kept him alive, parrying and weaving through the chamber's narrow walkways. Sparks flew as their sabers locked, the tanks shattering around them, flooding the floor with amniotic fluid. Obi-Wan's mind raced with grief. Anakin was gone, yet glimpses of his old friend flickered in Vader's movements, a hesitation, a familiar flourish. The Force urged Obi-Wan to reach out, to redeem, but Vader's fury drowned any hope. Obi-Wan disengaged, luring Vader to an upper platform where droids ambushed with stun nets. The trap held Vader briefly, allowing Obi-Wan to plant charges on the chamber's core, but Vader broke free, hurling droids into the walls with a wave of his hand. Obi-Wan escaped as the facility exploded, the blast rocking Tepoka City, but Vader's survival was certain. The rebellion's momentum carried it to Coruscant, the heart of the Empire, where the final stand would unfold in the planet's orbital space. Obi-Wan's fleet, a patchwork of separatist cruisers and captured Imperial shuttles, emerged from hyperspace, facing a blockade of star destroyers. The battle was a maelstrom of laser fire and ion blasts, droid-piloted vulture droids weaving through TIE fighter swarms. Obi-Wan commanded from the Providence-class destroyer's bridge, his B-1 droids executing precise maneuvers despite their clunky chatter. The Force guided his strategy, a beacon in the chaos, but his soul ached. Coruscant, once the Jedi's home, now stood as Sidious's throne. The Senate, corrupted by fear, had silenced Bail Organa's resistance, and Mon Mothma operated in hiding, Obi-Wan's rebellion aimed to broadcast C-3PO's decrypted data, proof of Palpatine's treachery, across the galaxy. But the droid's sudden malfunction raised alarms. Its circuits sparked, locking Obi-Wan out of critical files. The Force revealed a chilling truth. C-3PO had been tampered with, its programming altered by an Imperial slicer before Obi-Wan found it on Raxus Prime. The droid was a Sith trap, designed to sabotage the rebellion at its peak. The unexpected twist forced Obi-Wan into a moral quagmire. Destroying C-3PO would secure the mission, but it meant erasing Padmé's last legacy, a droid that had served her ideals. The Force offered no clear path, only the weight of choice. Obi-Wan rewired C-3PO under fire, his hands steady despite the destroyer's shuddering hull. The droid's systems stabilized, broadcasting the data to Coruscant's holonet, exposing Palpatine's collusion with the banking clan and his orchestration of the Clone Wars. The galaxy reeled, senators like Bail Organa seizing the moment to rally dissent. But the victory was short-lived. Vader's flagship, the Executor, loomed through the blockade, its turbo-lasers tearing through droid cruisers. Obi-Wan faced a duel in the destroyer's hangar, Vader's red blade a relentless storm. The fight spilled onto a crippled Star Destroyer, drifting in Coruscant's orbit, its corridors collapsing under laser fire. Obi-Wan's lightsaber met Vader's with desperate precision, each strike a plea for redemption, each parry a lament for Anakin. The Force surged, and Obi-Wan sensed a flicker of doubt in Vader, but the dark side prevailed. He escaped as the Star Destroyer exploded, leaving Vader adrift but alive. The Coruscant broadcast had shifted the galaxy's tides, but Obi-Wan's rebellion teetered on collapse. His droid army was battered, C-3PO's loyalty restored but fragile. The Force pulsed with danger, Sidious's gaze now fixed on them. Obi-Wan's heart wrestled with the cost. Thousands of droids destroyed, clones lost, and Anakin still beyond reach. Yet, the Senate's awakening offered hope, a crack in the Empire's facade. As the rebellion regrouped, Obi-Wan prepared for the final confrontation, knowing the Sith would strike with all their might. The galaxy hung in the balance, and his choices would decide its fate. The droid rebellion's broadcast from Coruscant had fractured the Galactic Empire's facade, its truth rippling across the galaxy like a shockwave. Obi-Wan Kenobi stood on the bridge of his battered Providence-class destroyer, now orbiting the desert world of Tatooine, a temporary refuge to regroup. The hollow screens flickered with reports of unrest. Senators on Coruscant openly defying Palpatine, systems like Alderaan and Chandrila rallying behind Bail Organa's call for reform. Yet Obi-Wan's heart was heavy. The rebellion's victories on Kamino and Coruscant had come at a staggering cost. Thousands of droids reduced to slag, resistance fighters lost, and Darth Vader, the shadow of Anakin Skywalker, still alive. The Force pulsed with dread, warning of a final Sith counterstrike. Obi-Wan's soul wrestled with the path he had chosen. Leading a droid army had struck at the Empire's heart, but it had also bloodied his hands, echoing the wars he once fought as a Jedi. Satine Kryze's vision of peace seemed a distant dream, yet her memory urged him to finish what he had begun. C-3PO, its golden plating scratched but functional, worked tirelessly at a comms station, decrypting intercepted Imperial transmissions. The droid's loyalty, restored after Obi-Wan's rewiring on Coruscant, was now unwavering, but its memory banks held a deeper burden. Fragments of Padme Amidala's final Senate speeches, preserved in C-3PO's circuits, revealed her warnings about Palpatine's authoritarianism, warnings ignored by a blinded Republic. The droid's role in the rebellion had evolved from reluctant aid to vital ally, its knowledge fueling Obi-Wan's strategy to dismantle the Sith's political web. Yet C-3PO's hesitance lingered, its programming still grappling with the violence of rebellion, a faint echo of Padme's pacifism. Obi-Wan saw the droid as more than a tool. It was a link to the galaxy he had failed, a chance to honor those he could not save. The Sith's response came swiftly, targeting Tatooine's desolate sands. Darth Sidious, enraged by the rebellion's defiance, dispatched Vader and a fleet of Star Destroyers to crush Obi-Wan's forces. The final battle began in Mos Eisley's spaceport, where Obi-Wan's droid army, B-1s, B-2s, and droidekas, fortified the dusty streets against an onslaught of stormtroopers and AT-AT walkers. Obi-Wan fought at the forefront, his blue lightsaber a beacon amid the chaos, deflecting blaster bolts and slicing through durasteel. The Force guided his strikes, but each fallen droid weighed on him, a reminder of the lives he commanded. Cham Syndulla's Twi'lek fighters, now allied with the rebellion, struck from the dunes, their speeders weaving through Imperial lines. C-3PO, stationed in a commandeered cantina, coordinated droid movements, its precise calculations turning the tide. But Vader's arrival shifted the battle's momentum. His black armor cut through the fray, his red lightsaber felling droids with merciless precision. Obi-Wan faced him in the spaceport's central plaza, their duel a storm of light and shadow. The Force crackled as their blades clashed, Obi-Wan's finesse meeting Vader's raw power. Memories of Anakin flooded Obi-Wan's mind, his laughter, his courage, his fall. The duel spilled into a burning warehouse, flames licking at their robes, and Obi-Wan sensed a flicker of conflict in Vader, a buried spark of the man he once knew. The battle's turning point came unexpectedly. C-3PO, accessing an Imperial comms relay, intercepted a transmission from Sidious ordering Vader to abandon Tatooine and protect Coruscant's Senate. The droid's quick thinking allowed Obi-Wan to exploit the Sith's overconfidence. He ordered his droids to feign retreat, luring Imperial forces into a trap in the Dune Sea. Droidekas ambushed from buried positions, their shields absorbing AT-AT fire, while B-2s unleashed wrist rockets, crippling the walkers. Obi-Wan's gambit worked, scattering the stormtroopers, but Vader pressed his attack, driving Obi-Wan to the edge of a cliff overlooking the Jundland wastes. The duel reached its climax as Obi-Wan, battered but resolute, disarmed Vader with a force push, sending his lightsaber skittering across the sand. For a moment, silence hung between them, the Force trembling with possibility. Obi-Wan reached out, not with his blade but with his heart, pleading for Anakin to return. Vader's mask hid his response, but his fist clenched, and the dark side surged, hurling Obi-Wan back. The moment passed, and Vader retreated to his shuttle, leaving Obi-Wan broken but alive. The rebellion's survival on Tatooine was a Pyrrhic victory. Obi-Wan's droid army was decimated, its remnants scattered across the dunes. Yet, the broadcast from Coruscant had taken root. On Alderaan, Bail Organa and Mon Mothma convened an emergency council, presenting C-3PO's decrypted data to the galaxy. The evidence, Palpatine's collusion with the banking clan, his orchestration of the Clone Wars, shattered the Senate's loyalty. Systems rebelled, from Ryloth to Kashyyyk, demanding the Emperor's abdication. Obi-Wan, wounded and weary, rendezvoused with the rebellion's allies on Yavin 4, the Jungle Moon's ancient temples a stark contrast to Tatooine's desolation. There, a familiar astromech droid rolled forward, its blue and white dome glinting in the moonlight. R2-D2, Padme's loyal companion, had been aiding Bail Organa's resistance, its beeps carrying messages of hope. The droid's presence stirred Obi-Wan's memories of Anakin and Padme, a bittersweet reminder of the galaxy they had fought for. The final act unfolded on Coruscant, where Obi-Wan led a covert strike to confront Sidious. His remaining droids, supported by R2-D2 and C-3PO, infiltrated the Senate district, their target the Emperor's hidden chambers beneath the Jedi Temple ruins. The mission was a suicide run, and Obi-Wan knew it. The Force guided him through the temple's shattered halls, each step a reminder of the Order's fall. Sidious awaited, his crimson lightsabers igniting in the darkness. The duel was ferocious, Sidious's speed and lightning clashing with Obi-Wan's resolve. C-3PO and R2-D2, working in tandem, sliced into the temple's security, broadcasting Sidious's presence to the galaxy, exposing him as the Sith Lord. The droids' sacrifice, overloading their circuits to maintain the signal, ensured the truth reached every corner of Coruscant. Obi-Wan fought on, his lightsaber a fading beacon, until a final surge of Force lightning overwhelmed him. With his last strength, he hurled his saber, piercing Sidious's chest. The Sith Lord fell, his scream echoing through the Force, but Obi-Wan collapsed, his body broken, his spirit at peace. The galaxy mourned and rejoiced. Sidious's death shattered the Empire's core, and Vader, adrift without his master, vanished into the unknown regions. Bail Organa, now Chancellor, and Mon Mothma led a reformed Senate, dismantling Palpatine's decrees and restoring democracy. The Jedi, once thought extinct, began to re-emerge, guided by survivors like Yoda, who returned from Dagobah to train a new generation. R2-D2, its memory intact, carried Obi-Wan's legacy, a digital testament to his sacrifice. On Tatooine, a lone B-1 droid, its vocabulator damaged, stood watch over Obi-Wan's final resting place, a silent guardian in the dunes. The rebellion's droids, those that remained, were granted autonomy, some joining the New Republic as laborers, others fading into the galaxy's fringes. The Force flowed freely again, its balance restored, not by war, but by the courage of those who dared to defy the dark. The banking clan, exposed by C-3PO's data, faced sanctions, its leaders arrested on Cato Nemoidia. Systems like Ryloth and Kashyyyk gained representation, their voices shaping the New Republic's charter. Obi-Wan's rebellion, born of desperation, had ignited a revolution, proving that even machines could carry the spark of hope. His sacrifice, a Jedi's final act cloaked in a renegade's resolve, became legend, whispered in cantinas from Tatooine to Bespin. Satini's dream of peace, though tempered by loss, found new life in the galaxy's rebuilding. As R2-D2 rolled through Yavin 4's temples, its beeps a quiet elegy, the stars above burned brighter, a testament to a man who turned rust into rebellion. And folks, that's our story. This one hit me hard, diving into Obi-Wan's struggle to find purpose after the Jedi's fall. The idea of him leading droids came from rewatching The Clone Wars. Those B-1 droids always had a charm, and I wondered what if Obi-Wan saw their potential, not as weapons, but as allies. Mixing in C-3PO's Senate secrets was inspired by The Phantom Menace, where protocol droids are more than comic relief. I loved crafting this balance of tragedy and hope, showing Obi-Wan's sacrifice as a spark for the New Republic. Drop your thoughts below and let me know what Star Wars What If you want next. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.